I tell them that they have to remember I grew up in a different time to where I remember when the original Tom and Jerry's ran on TV uncensored. Okay,
Yeah.
I remember that. But then shit started getting PC, right? And
are they
then
cutting Tom and Jerry
then what
cartoons?
do? They redub the black stereotype voice. They redub it and make her sound like a white woman, even though you know she's black.
So she's like Thomas, and then beats him with a broom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, beating is okay.
Like a fucking white woman.
Okay, I think
See, this is. I mean, you know, the thing about it is,
beating a cat is just slightly worse than racism, just slightly.
I want to point something out about this is genetic memory. Cats all are frightened of brooms and frightened of vacuum cleaners because of Tom and Jerry. It's in their genetic racial memory. So they're frightened to death of these things because of a cartoon.
Okay, but here's what you also have to remember. Again, don't want to get too off tangent, but again, this is talking about racial stereotypes, okay? Mammy Two Shoes, that was the cartoon character. Based off of the character from Gone with the Wind, okay? That's where Mammy Two Shoes was the basis from the African Hattie McDaniel. Thank you. I remember.
Was she the one?
She won an Oscar for it.
She was the one who won the Oscar, right?
Hattie McDaniel won an Oscar for the portrayal of the house lady. I've never seen Gone with the Wind, and I refuse to fucking watch it. But again, I'm
not a big fan either. I don't like it that much.
The Mammy Two Shoes character was based off of Hattie McDaniel's character from Gone with the Wind. I don't think any of us here think that it should. Blazing Saddles should not have a trigger warning in front of it because, again, it empowers black people. It empowers them. It just makes fun of white people and their arrogant fucking racism. That's what the movie is meant to do, and it succeeds at that.
I think we're missing a key component. It's like we're three white guys talking about racism. Shouldn't we get a black person in here to hear what they think of this?
Does anybody know one? Because I'd love to. I'm joking.
You're in Chicago,
obviously.
You're in Chicago,
and I know you're joking.
Butcher to the world.
Comment. I sincerely hope so.
Well, also, I mean, I am in a place where we don't have where I am in the Northwest in my city. I swear, I see like 3 or 4 of them a year where I live, and I'm always happy.
3 or 4 what?
Black people.
What?
3 or 4 black people.
You see 3 or 4 black people?
Maybe 3 or 4 every year. Like and I'm like,
you should come to New York. They're everywhere.
Come to Chicago where I'm at. They're on my block.
Yeah, good for them.
The point is,
wait, you have black people on your block?
No, I'm not saying anything bad about it. My neighbors, yes, they're African American, but you know what? My neighbors are great fucking people.
Exactly.
You remember what?
If I saw black people moving in my neighborhood, I don't know if they'd be able to afford it because this is a rich fuck area. But if they could, I'd be like, good for them. Moving on up.
My opinion. Okay, Froelich had made this his number 2 funniest movie ever, behind fucking Ford Fairlane. I didn't put it on.
You leave me alone, asshole. I'm a kid of the '90s, man.
Yes. I knew that he was going to do Blazing Saddles, but I put Young Frankenstein in my top 5. I think it's my number 1 actually. Young Frankenstein.
Number 1. Yes, it is your number 1. But if you get away from that Ford Fairlane hate for just. Wait.
It isn't just Ford Fairlane. Didn't you also do that one with Ed O'Neill, the John Hughes movie?
Yeah,
too?
yeah. And you know what? I stand by that. I fucking stand by that.
Really, but the thing is, I got so distracted that we forgot about Strange Brew, and I had to put that in at the end just to make sure that everybody remembered.
Okay, I think we can agree that that's really funny.
Yeah, we had to also ran that. That pissed me off. But hold on. Okay. I'm just going to get to my point. Okay. You stay away from the Ford Fairlane hate. God damn it. I have straight out said that number 1, I love Blazing Saddles with all my heart. I honestly think my opinion of the funniest movie ever made is 100% biased. You know what? But if someone were to come up to me, hey, from a contrarian point of view, yes, I'll say it's Blazing Saddles. But what I also said was that putting Blazing Saddles as my number 2 was indicative of Mel Brooks in and of itself. Was that, in my opinion, it is Mel Brooks's best film. Okay. And I have not once knocked Young Frankenstein. You know, I said, I love that movie to death too. You have to start somewhere. And the antithesis of the beginning is Blazing Saddles. And he went up and had a few peaks and valleys, but it's still his funniest movie. And the movies that we know and love today are because of that.
You know what I would say? It's interesting.
Number 2.
as I often say, it's a tale of two movies. Okay, Blazing Saddles is not the kind of movie that Young Frankenstein is. Blazing Saddles makes fun of westerns. Young Frankenstein is almost homage to horror films. The way it's made, the way it's shot, the subtle balance of it. But he was able to still interject his comedy in with it, but it still maintains its respect.
It does make fun of horror films too. It makes fun of horror films just like Blazing Saddles makes fun of westerns.
I think though that Blazing Saddles makes fun of westerns more than Young Frankenstein makes fun of horror films. There's one line in Young Frankenstein that is that's making fun of horror movies. He talks about something about a monster from he threatens to make a monster, and we've all had to deal this 5 times before. So he's making a joke about all the Frankenstein movies they made before this one.
I would compare these two movies to my own sort of personal of like, you could have a debate between Animal House and the Blues Brothers. Animal House, I think, is funnier, but the Blues Brothers, I think, is a better movie.
Animal House and Blues Brothers were both on my list of funniest movies ever made, but Blues Brothers outnotches Animal House. For I think it's the better movie. It's the better movie,
but Animal House
there's more of a story.
It's like basically like Blues Brothers is like about 10% less funny, but it's got the music, it's got the action. So it's like you balance it out. It's like it's a slightly better movie, but it's as far as like hilarity goes, like. But I would say neither of these are the funniest movie, and I would put ahead of both of those The Jerk.
I don't know if I put The Jerk on my list, but I know I put The Man with Two Brains because The Man with Two Brains is like my favorite.
That's funny, but not. It's not.
You know, The Jerk is another movie that mines racial humor. It mines racial humor.
But then again, I love how you two are getting to a pissing contest about two movies made by Carl Reiner.
Well, they're both funny, and he's a comedy writer.
I've never seen either one.
You've never seen? Oh my goodness, Freilich.
Oh my goodness. Okay, homework.
I feel like we have to have memorial services now.
No homework. I'm not a big Steve Martin fan. He's too dry for me. I don't like.
Whoa!
Oh! Wait.
Yeah, I know. You know what?
Well,
this is why I'm the young man in this group. This is why I'm the 10-year difference here.
I remember Siskel and Ebert didn't understand The Jerk. They didn't think it was funny, but then they loved All of Me. Where they're like, they're like, it took me a while to figure out Steve Martin, but now I think he's funny. And I bet if they'd gone back and reviewed The Jerk before, I also don't think he liked Man with Two Brains. I'm not mistaken.
No, but they both love Roxanne.
Oh, Roxanne. Yeah, but Roxanne again Roxanne is not necessarily funny. It's just a movie.
It's a remake of Cyrano. I get it, but the point is, Steve Martin wrote that screenplay, and they both love it. On top of that, another one that he wrote, Bowfinger.
Bowfinger's great.
Siskel had passed away.
Was insanely good. That is such a great movie. I remember I watched it because it got like bad reviews or something. It turned me off.
It got great reviews. Great reviews.
Everyone I talked to said they didn't like them. I watched it and it was just like, whoa, this is really good. And it was.
You can kind of tell.
But the movie didn't do very well though, as far as from what I understand.
I saw Bowfinger at the fucking second run when it came out. I saw that at the Dollar Movie Theater. I didn't get a chance to see it on first run, but back in the good old days when you could see a second run movie, that's where I saw Bowfinger. Me and my girlfriend, same chick whose dad introduced me to the Mel Brooks shit. Me and her saw Bowfinger. We both loved it. We thought it was great. I mean, but yeah, I don't hate Steve Martin. I don't. I mean, it just took a while.
He's not your guy.
He's not my guy.
Yeah.
I'm a dude. It's like you guys. Okay, to put it best, and we'll put a stamp on it and kill it. When you two were growing up, you had Steve Martin.
When did.
I was growing up, I had Jim Carrey. End of story.
So let's move on to Young Frankenstein, shall we? Once again, probably around the time that Blazing Saddles was in post-production, he had started shooting Young Frankenstein. So it's like a 1-2 punch of these two incredible films back to back for him.
And by the way, they made two great movies even back then, even in today's money, really cheap. Like if you adjust it like 5 times, if it's $2.5 million, that's what, like a $10 to $15 million movie for Hollywood.
$10 to $15 million
comedy, and they're big, they're broad, they got stuff going on, and it's still cheap.
We know why this is.
Why do they spend so much goddamn money?
I'll tell you right now. unions. Unions have a stranglehold.
I love unions.
They now
all about unions, but my goodness,
unions are great for protecting people. But the thing is, in Hollywood, the union is king, and they tell you how many people you have to have on your set in order to qualify as union production.
Even if it's double the expenses, it's what, like $30 million? Like, you could make a Hollywood movie for $30 million.
But
Easy.
then you also have studio executives that vote to give themselves enormous raises. All of this becomes, when you look at it, I mean, like, I was looking at a movie, I forget what it was, God, something like $200 million, $300 million, and I'm like, you're talking, I can't fathom an amount like $300 million.
The first time I saw Young Frankenstein was actually like way late. I want to say like 89. It was on AMC. And it was just like, my brother recorded it, so I watched it. He watched it over and over again, so I'd watch it with him, and then we'd like start doing the jokes. Although, wait a minute, I saw part of it once when it was on, I think it was on NBC, and they put a little warning on the thing that says, "This movie is in black and white. Do not adjust," something like that, because they had to warn people. Because everybody had color TVs then. It's like, I can't. It's in black and white. What's going on?
What's with the color on the TV?
Yeah. What? Sorry. Okay.
I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
Harumph.
Watch your ass.
Oh, I know. Hey, I remember
take these
that
pasties
shit.
out in lieu of pay.
Oh no. One of my favorite ones. I remember watching Alien 3 on broadcast for the first time. It was on Fox back in like '93. Yeah, and I remember when they recorded, the first 3 minutes of this movie are presented in the letterbox format.
Yeah,
because the picture will adjust after 3 minutes.
Well, yeah, because I remember because I remember when it was on HBO, and I'm like, oh, it's letterbox. It's like, no, it was just for the credits.
So Young Frankenstein, as it's known.
That's strong, yeah, Frankenstein.
Yes.
And then there was Igor. I was told it was Igor. No, it's pronounced Igor.
Or Abby Normal. Abby somebody. Abby Normal.
Now, okay, so would you say, for American audiences, would you say that Mel Brooks basically discovered Marty Feldman? Because he was just this British comedian that looked weird before America knew.
Well, he brought him over, obviously.
Yeah, he brought him over because nobody knew about him here in America. Probably
what was he? Let's check.
I'm thinking like the Goon Show.
He was on a show on ITV, British television, called Bootsy and Snudge. He was in a BBC radio show called Round the Home.
It's so funny because he basically made a career out of looking weird, and that was part of his comedy, was looking funny
with the weird eyes. Great. Yeah,
worked for him.
And he did. You know what? It's funny. Recently, we saw Yellowbeard, which was his last film, and he made that with Graham Chapman and a bunch of other people, and it was a profoundly unfunny movie because I guess they were trying too hard. And
all I remember about that movie is it was PG, but it had boobs.
There were boobs. There were also a lot of naked asses, and some of them were men's asses too.
But like we were talking about earlier today, Logan's Run, PG, full frontal.
Yeah.
Different time. It was
and luckily we never got that Bryan Singer remake, because God knows what they would have done with that.
No, God.
You know, Young Frankenstein is a movie that could very easily be an R rating, and it's quite possible because there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff that was cut out.
It's PG-13 in today's.
Well, right now, yes, but Mel Brooks, he shoots quite a lot, and he cuts it down. He carves it out like a statue, basically. To find the funny, to cut down, to reduce time, to make things look better.
To sort of quote Rambo 3, John, we didn't make you. We just chipped away the rough edges.
Yes, exactly. But good point. There's a good hour of finished film from Young Frankenstein that we never saw because he cut it out. And I'm guessing that's the off-color stuff.
So he basically he shoots a movie kind of like sort of like the Adam McKay, where you could take Anchorman and there's so much left over, he made it a whole other movie with it.
Yeah.
Wake Up Ron Burgundy, which is not a great movie, but it has its moments
it's terrible. It's fucking
terrible. I think it has its moments in it, but yeah.
Adam McKay, speaking of the Coyote versus Acme connection right there. You have the reason this movie stands up not only as incredible comedy, but also it's also been preserved historically by the Library of Congress because it's considered an important film too. So it's part of that, and everything is manipulated to such a degree with this film. He makes it look like a movie that was shot in the 40s. The lighting,
It's grainy. It's grainy. It looks like an old print of film. And
listen to in the tinny soundtrack. You can even hear the score is slightly tinny. The dialogue
early in the 70s, sound was not that great, so it was easy to
compare. Compare the sound to Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles is
true
state of
in
the art
fact
sound.
not only that, Blazing Saddles
hey caller, compare it to The Conversation, same year.
Well, 74
same year. Conversation 1974. That was a movie, like, we have argued that movie is all about sound.
It's all about sound.
It's a crisp mono soundtrack on that one.
It was the early 70s, which I'll argue
pre-Dolby, right before Dolby.
Right before Dolby. But I'll argue that film stocks and film grain in the early 70s, it never got better than that. It never did. 1989 had some good film stocks, but after that, it's just over. Between 71 and 89, you saw. That's why it has this unusual look to it. And we're going to get into it, actually, you and me, Froelich, when we get into more of the Hammer stuff, because you're going to start to see a change in the film grain. We went from Technicolor, and then we're going to keep moving, and we're going to go into like this really grainy stuff that they shot at low light. The early 70s was a time when they started developing faster film stocks that needed less light, but they got a little bit grainy.
But then that was the argument that could be made with, like...
Okay, why don't we do our favorite lines? What are your favorite lines from Young Frankenstein?
I was going to make espresso.
Gene Hackman, there it is.
Or... What knockers? Why, thank you.
Thank you, doctor.
Or, yes, I was his girlfriend.
Well, he was my boyfriend.
Or of course, the greatest line of them all, Frau Blucher.
It's coming from the deep, dark recesses of the mind of Mel Brooks. I love him. Young Frankenstein.
Life, you hear me? Give my creation life!
Okay, I got a couple for you. Well, the conversation between Igor and Froelich. Remember, Igor, Froelich. He says, would you mind telling me whose brain I did put in? Abby someone. Abby someone. Abby who? Abby normal.
Abby normal.
Abby normal. And then he very slowly gets up, walks over to Igor, sitting on the stool, puts his arm around him. Are you saying that I put an abnormal brain into a 7.5 foot long, 54-inch wide gorilla? And he goes, is that what you're telling me? Now, well, before that, there was Sedagive. Remember? He has to do charades. He's being strangled by the creature. So he's like, one word, 3 syllables. Said a dirty word. He said a dirty word. Sedagive. Give him a sedative. And it's sedative on the nosy. And then they finally get him down, and Gene Wilder goes,
Sedagive?
So, okay, and then there's another one. Later on in the movie, when they've captured the monster, they put him in the little cell, and he says, "No matter what you hear, no matter what I cry out, do not open that door." So they lock him in there, and the minute the creature, the creature snarls, and he goes, let me out of here, let me the hell out of here. What's the matter with you people? I was joking. Don't you know a joke when you hear one? Ha, ha, ha. Open up, Jesus Christ, open this door. I'll kick your rotten skulls in. Mommy!
You know, you're making me really want to watch this fucking movie again, because I haven't seen it in a while.
We're going to watch, as soon as Bronwyn and Reagan come back, we're going to watch both Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein in tribute of 50 years ago today.
You want to know, dude, seriously, I got to say this. You want to know what pisses me off more than anything? And again, this is relevant. This is severely relevant. I was at work the other day, and we have a streaming TV at the job. And, you know, I was, my coworker, she's one of my good friends. I was like, hey, I need to play you a funny movie, you know, one that you've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that Blazing Saddles is streaming for free on Pluto TV. I'm like, it's Blazing Saddles. You've never seen this. You need to see it. It's one of the funniest movies ever made, if not the funniest movie ever made.
Yeah.
You know, dude, 10 minutes in, she doesn't fucking get it.
She doesn't get it. She doesn't understand.
She doesn't. No, and you know what? This harkens back to another conversation we had years ago that I've told you ad nauseum about my friend Kyle. He's one of my best friends. And I tried getting him to watch Blazing Saddles. And he
didn't get it.
It's not funny. I don't get it. Like, again,
funny.
I'm repeating.
Now, I gotta ask.
Repeating your daughter ad fucking nauseum. It's like, this is funny. This is supposed to be funny.
How old is Kyle? Is he your age?
He's 26.
Okay, so he's a Gen Zer. That sounds like something a Gen Z person would say.
Is Kyle's mom a big fat bitch?
Kyle's mom's big fat bitch, biggest bitch in the whole wide world. She's biggest
bitch. Mom's actually my age, and she's kind of hot.
Boys and girls.
Oh, okay.
Mom's my age, and she's kind of hot.
Oh, okay.
I really mean it. Kyle's mom is big fat fucking bitch. Big old fat bitch is Kyle's mom.
Kyle's mom. Yeah.
Saw that in the theater, by the way.
So did I.
So did I.
Another
12-year-old boy in there with his mom.
Did either of us put that on our comedy list by any chance? I feel
it
like
should be.
No, none of us put the South Park movie or Orgasmo, but you put Team America on there, so
I did put Team America on there. Team America.
Yeah, you put Team America.
By the way, Team America is a film that I showed one of my sort of my offended by everything PC kind of friend, and she still thought it was funny. So
that's good. At least there's some hope.
I warned her ahead of time. I warned her as a look.
Hey, you know what? Hey guys, at the end of the day, my wife loves Ford Fairlane, so na.
All right. One more South Park thing. Everybody remembers this song. Shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker. You're a cocksucking ass licking Uncle Fucker. You're Uncle Fucker. Yes, it's true. Nobody fucks uncles quite like you. Shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker. You're the one that fucked your uncle, Uncle Fucker.
Uncle Fucker.
You're an Uncle Fucker. I must say you fucked your uncle yesterday. Uncle Fucker. That's you.
That's you.
NCLE.
Fuck you. Uncle Fucker. Suck my balls.
Suck my balls.
Yes. And then a fart solo done by Lepeto Man.
Okay. Now Froelich and I were discussing our favorite Young Frankenstein quotes. I did mine. What's yours, Anderson?
You know what? When he goes, wait, I was gonna make espresso.
I already did that.
Froelich did that one. That was his first one.
Oh, sorry. Because I always had the thought of like, wouldn't it be funny if somebody was like wanting to play Nintendo? Wait, we were gonna play Nintendo.
We were gonna play.
Okay, I can't do that. Damn it! This is what happens when I get up to pee. You know what? It's not a word, but it's at the end. At the end.
Oh wait, hey, whoa! Remember, you just made a yummy sound, so I thought you'd like the dessert.
You know what? I'll say that.
I didn't make a yummy sound.
I'll do that. Yeah. Okay, that's one I'll pick.
But you did. I just heard it. And he says it wasn't me. And Terry Garr says it wasn't me. And he says, well, now look here. If it wasn't you and it wasn't you. And then he looks at the camera and he points to himself. And it wasn't me. So now that was funny. Okay.
I was gonna do a quote from Blazing Saddles. It's true. It's true.
It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true.
You know what? I forgot there was a joke where Headley was signing up all the bad guys, right? And there's one guy, and he says, are you a gum chewer? I hope you brought enough for everyone. I just thought it was kind of insane. Oh, and he breaks the fourth wall because he says, where would I find such a man? And he looks at the camera and he goes, why am I asking you?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. I love little fourth wall breaking jokes. Okay, so do you have any other quotes?
Oh, more quotes. I was told there'd be no math questions.
Froelich did 4 or 5. I did
4 or 5.
Oh, yeah.
Man, see, I'm going by memory. I've only seen the movie really only once, maybe twice in my life.
Maybe twice.
Yes.
I watched the movie every 6 months.
Okay. Dick jokes are always funny. You'd have a tremendous fun, Stucker.
That goes without saying.
Yeah.
Oh, non sequitur, right? Igor, he says something and it has nothing to do with anything.
I got one. I ain't got nobody.
Igor.
Frederick. Yes.
Hey, we both said it at the same time. Igor has a funny line where he says, "I'll never forget my old dad when things like this happen to him, the things he said to me," and he looks at him and goes, "What did he say? What the hell are you doing in that bathroom day and the night? And why don't you get out of there? Give someone else a chance."
Yes.
Frankenstein just kind of like does a little take, and then he just goes back to the script. It's almost like it was off script or something.
Crack 29. Can I give you a shine? And he just goes, no.
What about put the candle back?
Put the candle back.
If not for this set of neural responses, we would collapse like a bunch of broccoli.
Wait, what about this? I have to do this with my face to get the effect, but he goes, "Now listen to me very carefully. Do not put the candle back with all of your might shoved against the other side of the bookcase. Is that perfectly clear?" Son of a bitch bastard, I'll get you for this. What did you do to me?
And that was one of the first times. That was one of the first times, like I on AMC, I realized, they can do swearing because they left all the swears in.
They did? Wow.
Yeah, there's just a few. That was back in the day when they because we had the E channel, and before it was the E channel, it was called Movie Time. Mm-hmm. And I think I talked about this on our cable show. Like they split it in half, so you got AMC half the day, and you got Movie Time the other half of the day. So it would come on at like noon, and then I guess was Robert Osborne? No, it wasn't Robert Osborne then.
You mean Jose Ferrer? No, not Jose.
Not Jose Ferrer.
Father of Clooney. I don't know who that is.
He was like a newscaster for a while. He kind of looked like him.
The only thing I know about the Clooney family was that Rosemary Clooney was married to Jose Ferrer, and their kid was Miguel Ferrer, and that's Clooney's cousin. Mm-hmm. So, and he was also
was Clooney's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And he lost his virginity.
Not to be too morbid.
He lost his virginity to a young Carrie Fisher too. I remember.
I thought she lost it to him. Yeah.
Well, they both lost their virginity to each other. I think.
Yes.
They took each other's virginity and put it under their pillows. Mm-hmm. What else is there to say about Frederick Frankenstein and Igor? I remember he says, "My grandfather used to work for your grandfather," and he just looks at him and goes, "Oh, how nice."
Well, I mean, you're the foremost authoritarian on this one. I mean, this is your favorite comedy of all time. Blazing Saddles is, well, realistically mine, but we already know I have a varying degree of opinion on that.
Well, we know about your top five. My top five was, I believe, Young Frankenstein was number one. Airplane, National Lampoon's Vacation.
Can I put Step Brothers on my list?
You're making me go back.
I didn't put Step Brothers. I'm sure that was... Froelich, did you put Step Brothers in there?
Hell no, but we had a good laugh when we did it, though.
Right, that line.
I know you remember that laugh we had where I fucking had you in hysterics.
Yes, the one about the... what was he screaming?
This house is printed on planets bullshit, and the galaxy of this sucks ass.
Yes. I'll give it that for John C. Reilly. I really, Will Ferrell to me is just not funny. I remember watching Elf, and I just get so angry watching Elf because he's not funny to me.
Whoa!
I think Elf is stupid. I saw...
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
I saw Elf one time. And unfortunately, that one time was at the theater. And you know what? I didn't like it, and I still don't like it.
You were at the theater. Were people laughing, though?
I don't remember because I just don't remember, and I don't want to remember.
So, you know what that tells me? That people didn't laugh, because you would remember laughter. When we saw...
it was just this movie that dude, Elf just became so fucking popular, and I'm just like, this movie is not funny at all.
Well, see, there's funny, and then there's good. I could tell you, like, A Christmas Story. Is it like the funniest movie ever made? No, but is it also a great film? But is it also a great film? Yes.
Yeah.
You know what's fun? Okay, this I'll tell you. The most recent comedy that I can tell you that was really funny, that made me laugh like crazy, insanely with laughter, was probably Superbad. Superbad is the most recent comedy of late that actually had me laughing. Everything after that, no.
Recent comedy that's like almost 20 years old.
I know. But Michael Cera and Jonah Hill are really wonderful in the film. Even to the end with the montage of penis drawings had me falling out of my chair. It was fucking hilarious. I have a Blu-ray steelbook of it.
In the same vein, The Hangover?
No, I don't find The Hangover funny. No. In fact,
well, the problem with The Hangover is that movie is so good, yet the sequels are trash.
And they all made money.
No, and it's not. It's not. It's called. I saw Hangover 2 in the theater, and I walked out disappointed. The first one was great. The second one was just like, no, thank you. And then the third one, I waited for video, and the third one wasn't nothing home to write about.
I feel like they made a better version of that movie when it was called Very Bad Things. And Very Bad Things is a biting, black comedy.
Hold on, Lawler. I will raise you one better. It was a better made movie when it was Stag.
Stag. I remember you told me about Stag, didn't you?
I told you about Stag. That was with Mario Van Peebles, Kevin Dillon, and Taylor Dane.
Taylor Dane.
That was the tell it to
the singer?
My heart.
Tell me I'm the only one.
Yeah, because she dabbled in acting sometime in the later 90s. That Stag was the first one that came out. It was on HBO. I remember that. I have the VHS still. I think a DVD exists, but it's very hard to find.
So it's the same concept. It's things.
It's the same exact
apart.
Concept.
Yeah.
That where it's literally.
But the Hangover movies. The Hangover movies made hundreds of millions of dollars. They were very popular.
Because nobody fucking died. That's the point. Nobody died. I mean, Very Bad Things and Stag, they both had the same central
Nearly
plot.
everybody dies.
It's a group of guys in Vegas getting together for a bachelor party. They get a stripper to come at their house, and then she fucking dies. The only thing is, Very Bad Things could afford a real porn star. Stag had to get an aging pop singer from the 80s. Because it was the porn star Kobe Ty. Again, if you guys know your porn, good for you.
I do.
Yeah,
Which one is Kobe Ty?
Kobe Ty was the Asian actress who was in Very Bad Things, and she was the one who got killed, and then they had.
All right. So as I've said, okay, now Anderson Froelich has stated that Blazing Saddles is his favorite. Where would you rank this and Blazing Saddles? Which one are you going to give the edge to?
Of the two? Okay, I'm gonna go right up to the edge and then finish all over the computer. Let's see.
I've got the Fantastic over here. We got some wipes.
Fantastic. It's fantastic.
Get your ass to Mars.
Get your ass to Mars. Put the cookie down.
By the way, which one?
It's good soundproofing.
Soundproofing.
So what are you saying? What? Okay.
Okay.
Make your point.
Stick you with it. Okay.
All right.
Okay, I would say of the two, Young Frankenstein is a better movie. I think I did this before. Young Frankenstein is a better movie. I can intellectually think that, but I think of the two, my favorite is Blazing Saddles. But neither of them are like movies that I go back to that much.
Well, I'll simplify that even further. I think they're two of the funniest movies ever made. I think that Blazing Saddles is a fucking masterpiece.
I think you're of the same mind, right? You think you would probably say that Young Frankenstein is the better made movie, but Blazing Saddles is funnier.
Yeah. Well, yes, exactly. Well, okay, let's just do some production history shit here. Let's just know that Young Frankenstein was actually shot on the old sets and with the old props.
Oh, wow.
That Bride of Frankenstein was shot with. They used all the same shit. And that's why in certain circles, Young Frankenstein is considered a actually quasi-sequel to Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein. And I can sympathize with those people for that. I think it's an exceedingly well-made movie. However, Blazing Saddles is just funnier.
Yeah. Now we mentioned the sound. I mentioned how the sound is crucial to the movie because it makes it feel like it's part of that. The sound was nominated for an Oscar. This is what they were,
the crunchy sound was nominated.
That crunchy, tinny sound. This is the effect they were going for. It also was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, adapted because it comes from a different source. Obviously, it's even though I do consider it an original movie, an original comedy in its way. It's still based on pre-existing material, and it's based on the story of Frankenstein.
It does exist on the basis of the Universal Frankenstein films. So it exists.
And by the way,
so yes.
How did they get? I mean, as a Fox production, how did they finagle that with all the Universal people, or was it at the point like Universal had like zero money, so they're like,
well, it's not even that. It's the fact is we just did a podcast. You also have to remember that Hammer did The Curse of Frankenstein in 1957, and this was 27 years removed from the Universal Frankenstein.
But I'm just talking like the sets. So did they get those sets? How did they get those sets from Universal? They were probably on the Universal.
Mel Brooks.
Oh,
Classic.
able to get them. He was able to get him.
Mel
Okay.
Brooks, yeah. A lot of people don't remember or aren't aware that Mel Brooks was quite famous even before he became a full-time filmmaker. He had made
Sid Caesar show. There you
and
go.
also
Sid
he
Caesar.
co-created Get Smart, which ran for 5 years with
Yep.
Buck Henry. He made his Robin Hood TV show When Things Were Rotten. A lot of that became Robin Hood Men in Tights. He worked on a whole bunch of stuff. He did rewrites on The Graduate, the Mike Nichols movie, for Buck Henry. He had a lot of respect. It's possible Universal was just like, hey, yeah. And when you think about it, the movie kind of sells the original movie, so it works on that too.
Well, but what you also got to remember is we're talking about you're making a movie adapted from a novel. Now, when you claim the rights to a novel, eventually those rights are going to lapse.
Yeah, true.
Right? You know, those rights have to lapse at one point.
Oh, they were
in time.
probably. I would think that like the Universal, like it's one thing to sort of copyright sort of a book. By then, I think all the rights had lapsed. It's just Universal was just the monster company when they made those things. So like they were.
But then you also have to remember. You can adapt the story, but you can't have the same design as a creature. Like,
exactly.
You're infringing on copyright if you are making your creature modeled after the Universal creature. Now, in the case of the Curse of Frankenstein, that creature resembled nothing like the Frankenstein creature.
They went out of their way to make him look like weird and different. But yeah, it's like weird. They made him different but close enough so that people understand that that's what Frankenstein's monster looks like, kind of thing. It's like it was a very delicate balance of what they did. I know what you're talking about. It's like he didn't have the bolts, but he had like the bolts on his head or something, and it was like a thing.
Yeah.
And it was, I think it was round instead of square.
But in the case of Young Frankenstein, we're talking at this point 43 years removed from what you made. You know, it doesn't seem inconceivable for Mel Brooks to go to Universal and say, look, I want to make a monster movie. I want to make a Frankenstein movie. And it's based off the design of your Frankenstein creature. Mm-hmm. Can I do it?
Well, if only they had that.
You're Mel Brooks. Go right the fuck ahead. We don't.
If only Fred Decker had that kind of clout when he made Monster Squad.
That's true. Wow, that was a great.
That's a great movie.
I love that movie.
Despite that, it's still a great movie.
But Fred Decker didn't have clout.
No, both these movies, man. Come on. If you're young, if you're a fucking millennial, if you're a fucking Gen Z, if you're a tweener, if you're this, that, and everything else in between, I don't care what the fuck you identify yourself as. Okay, these are two movies you need to see. Because it's sad that I can't get anybody to watch these movies. People that are like 13, 14 years removed from me, and they don't want to watch them because they're not funny enough. And I'm just like, what the fuck is your idea of humor?
Yeah, what is their idea of humor? What is their idea?
What the fuck is your idea of humor? Oh, I'd rather watch Dumb and Dumber. I'm sorry, Dumb and Dumber. Excuse that movie is owed to these other movies. Okay, without Blazing Saddles or Young Frankenstein, Dumb and Dumber wouldn't fucking exist. Because at the end of the day, Dumb and Dumber is Mel Brooks' fucking humor. It is.
It is. Yeah.
It's the stupid and the smart. The stupid and the smart meet. That's, I think, what Mel Brooks is. The stupid and the smart meet.
Also, there's something about Mary. That's a movie that was a lot.
That's a great.
It's a tremendous debt to Mel Brooks, and it is one of the funny movies. I mentioned it on my list.
But you also got to remember, I'm more of a Kingpin person than I am There's Something About Mary person. But we could argue that it's the same exact thing. It's like I prefer Kingpin, you prefer There's Something About Mary, but at the same time, neither one would exist without that Mel Brooks humor because it's both of those movies are built upon that humor.
He actually electroshocks a dog. In There's Something About Mary, and I'm thinking this is Mel Brooks right here.
I think the problem with
the dog. Remember when the dog jumped out the window too? That's also Mel Brooks right there.
I think the problem with the younger of these kids today is because I'm on TikTok and I go on TikTok. You get that real quick hit of like comedy genius on those, like every once in a while somebody will just make something funny and it is like the funniest thing you've seen and it's like funnier than anything you've seen in any movie, and you get that quick hit. And that's what they're used to, that quick hit. They're not used to that long stretched out kind of comedy where you have to really kind of think it through.
Yeah, they're not.
And you sort of meditate on it of like, okay, that was actually a goddamn genius. The younger kids, they're not used to that. They're used to that quick hit, that quick zinger.
And remember, comedy is tragedy plus time.
Mm-hmm.
And it requires time. In order,
It is.
it's like a wine. It requires a time to ferment to get to its proper flavor, and that is comedy right there. And Mel Brooks is
and
comedy.
This is why I say Ford Fairlane is a great movie, because audiences hated it 34 years ago, and now it's revered.
All right.
Actually,
Go with me on this, Froelich. Mel Brooks, Rennie Harlan.
Yes.
Okay, fine. I'll give it to Mel Brooks. I want
to see both their names.
He wins.
Now, Mr. Mel Brooks is 98 years old. God bless him.
Put him in an action movie with Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson.
What?
What?
Oh God, we long kiss goodnighting here now. Are we doing another Rennie
you want to put
Harlan
Mel Brooks in a movie?
Here? Another Rennie Harlan movie? Come on.
No, Cutthroat Meshuggah.
Cutthroat Meshuggah.